Jets, I hear them say it now.
Jets, white, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win tonight. White, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win.
What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of the Jet Fuel Podcast. It's episode 8 here on the Turn Up the Jets YouTube channel. As always, I am your host, Joe Skirto, aka Turn Up the Jets. Before we get into the episode, please subscribe to the channel if you have not already. Like the video if you've actually liked it, and also follow me on both X and Instagram at Turn Up the Jets on both of those social media platforms. So we got a couple of topics here to discuss, and it's really just the overall. What have we seen for the first 2 weeks? We know the obvious. I'm not even going to say it, but the situation the Jets are in now heading into week 3. By the way, New York Jets, New England Patriots week 3 preview will be released on Thursday, so make sure you catch up on that video. I will not be even really talking much about the matchup because it's all going to be on that video. But I want to talk about the offensive line woes. I want to talk about the Breece Hall situation. I want to talk about whether or not the Jets should sign a veteran and how short or long of a leash does Zach Wilson have. And also, let's just discuss the future of Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas if this turns into shit. I mean, we haven't really talked about it. I haven't really talked about it. I haven't really even thought of it. And I said, you know what? That would be a good topic to discuss in the episode. So you look at it, the Jets are 1-1. And it has been a disastrous start to the season. Let's be honest. Yes, the win was electric in week 1 against Buffalo, 9-11. I was there. It was sick, but not all of it. We know the obvious. Last week was a disaster, 30-10 against Dallas. Granted, Dallas is a really good team, and I'm exhausted to say it, but they probably are a Super Bowl contender. Will they actually get there? I have no idea. They certainly have no excuses. I mean, their roster is loaded. Simple enough, and their defense is loaded. But now, you're here in week 3, and these are kind of the main topics that I have in mind. So let's get into the offensive line issues. The offensive line was terrible last week. And in my recap, I was so frustrated about how bad the offense was. I kind of blamed a little more than I should on Zach Wilson. I was furious, really, over the fact that Nathaniel Hackett's play calling was absolutely garbage. The defense couldn't get off the field on third downs. The penalties sucked. And by the way, the NFL came out and said, the JFM roughing the passer shouldn't have been called. No shit, dude. That was the worst call on the planet. Third down that changed the game. That gave them a touchdown and a 2-point conversion at the end of the half. Like, that was such a bad call and a game changer. They had a similar one last year against the Patriots when MC2 picked it off and ran all the way back. And crazy enough, MC2 was the one who made the coverage and made a nice play on CD Lamb in this play as well. So, what the hell? But despite the fact, the offensive line is definitely the ones to blame, or they have to share their blame. It goes hand in hand. Zach Wilson and this offensive line. The pass blocking has been absolutely horrendous. They actually had 2 out of the bottom 3 Pro Football Focus grades for offensive linemen. I believe it was McGovern and Lincoln Tomlinson. I know it was McGovern. It was 30 grades. This was 39 or something. Terrible. Just F minus, if that's even possible. Shitty grades, shitty performances for all of the offensive line. And, it starts with Dwayne Brown, dude. I get it. Micah Parsons is an alien. However, we need some type of production, and this is what happens when you don't do anything all training camp. I kind of have followed this, the Jets don't care as long as Dwayne Brown was healthy for the season. Then a lot of us, including myself, forget, hey, this guy is 39 years old. He should have some reps because he has looked terrible. Saleh came out and said that, he's okay. He's not worried about him. There's obviously no danger. He's not in danger at all about losing his position at left tackle. And he kind of made the excuse of, hey, Michael Parsons is an alien, basically. but there's no excuse. I don't blame him on the play that Rodgers tore his Achilles. That was still a shitty block. Like, he has been very bad, and he has been in the bottom of those grades as well. He got dominated. I mean, it took them 3 quarters to figure out, hey, maybe we should run 12 personnel again and get Ruckert in there because he might be our best blocker. The dude got a 90 grade on week 1. It's like he is a good blocker. He was the best blocker in week 1, and they ran for almost 200 yards. So why did they change it up so much? I don't know. But it's clear that Dwayne Brown needs help. And that is concerning when he's your left tackle. Left tackle, probably the second most important position on the offensive side, other than obviously the quarterback. And now we have to baby our left tackle, and we have to double team whoever he's against. This is probably the reality. They have to run more 12 personnel, or Judon's going to eat them alive, because this Patriots defensive line coming up in week 3 is really good. And by the way, you play Chris Jones in week 4. It doesn't get much better, but it's concerning. Yes, I'm concerned. I have been a supporter of the offensive line. It looks good on paper, but right now it's shit. And I'm wrong. I wasn't worried about the offensive line as long as they're healthy, because I thought they were going to be pretty solid if they were healthy. But they are healthy, and they are pretty bad right now. So Dwayne Brown has to figure it out. I don't think he's going to get benched just because he's a wily vet. Realistically, there's no one else better than him. You're not going to start Max Mitchell over him. You're not going to start Billy Turner over him. It's just not realistic unless you really want to move Mekhi Becton to left tackle. That might be the only other choice, but it's not like Becton has been lights out either. Laken Tomlinson has been bad once again. Really thought the sky was the limit for him to at least have a bounce back year, because you really couldn't get any worse than he was last season. He arguably is just as bad or worse this season. Small sample size. I know it's only been 2 weeks. However, the interior has just been bad. AVT has not been good either, especially in pass protection. Essentially, this whole entire offensive line has been garbage in pass protection. All 5, even AVT. And you can blame some on Mekhi Becton too, whatnot. Connor McGovern is probably the most concerning out of the 5, and I think he's going to be the first one to be benched. He's had 2 not great games in both run and pass blocking. Just overall, he's been bad. You go out and draft a rookie out of Wisconsin in the 2nd round, Joe Tippmann, who could play center and guard. His main position is center. There's a reason why they drafted him, and they brought back McGovern for chump change. It made sense starting him the first couple games because he is the veteran, but it's time. They said they don't plan on making any changes in the offensive line. One more bad performance, I think we see McGovern in there. We see Joe Tippmann in there. I think we have to. Enough. We know what we got in McGovern now. There's a reason why you brought him back only for chump change, and he wanted to take the discount because he wanted to win, and he liked where he was in New York. This wasn't a long-term option. I knew Tippmann was going to get here sometime, at some point, but it's way earlier than I envisioned. I thought at least McGovern would clock in maybe 5, 6, 7 starts, and then Tippmann would come in. This is 2 bad starts. I think he's 1 away from Tippmann starting week 4 against Kansas City. So the offensive line absolutely has to be better. They're going up against a really good defense in New England, and their wizard or defensive wizard and Bill Belichick. It's not going to be easy. I don't think it gets any easier for the Jets offensive line. Look what you have to play. The pass rushers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Eagles. All these teams have very good front sevens. At least the Patriots and the Chiefs and the Eagles do. They're all good. It's going to be tough. It's an uphill battle. So I don't think any of those other guys, and Becton and Tomlinson and AVT, obviously not AVT, but, just still throw them in there, and Dwayne Brown, I don't think any of those guys are in any danger of losing their spots, because who are you going to replace them with? Who? No one. McGovern's the odd man out because he actually has a legitimate guy behind him, and it doesn't help when he's probably been the worst out of the 5. Breece Hall situation. What is going on? He took some shots, only getting 4 carries, and then he tweeted 4 balls, ... I have to say, I love these rookies Garrett Wilson is the only one, not rookies, I'm sorry, these second year, third year guys, our young guys. Garrett Wilson, I feel like, is the only guy that doesn't take it to Twitter or X or whatever the hell when he gets frustrated. Sauce and Breece are brutal. Breece and Michael Carter has been bad too. I know this is the modern day era. This is just the era we live in, but like, you're going to tweet it and then delete it. He's done that. Breece Hall's done that like numerous times. He tweets something and he deletes it. It just makes you look worse if you delete it. You tweet it, just be a man and keep it up. Because then if you delete it, you're like, oh, okay, he knows he's being a dick. Hey, I don't blame him. I don't hate that he said it's hard for me to produce when I only have 4 carries. No shit. He should have had double. He should have had triple. Breece Hall should have absolutely 20 carries coming in week 3. There's no excuse. You got to ditch this pitch clock, whatever the hell. It's been 2 weeks. He clearly is good, and let's go. Like, the Jets have to win, and this is their recipe to win is with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, by the way, who you go out and get for $8 million, and you barely use him too. Yeah, he fumbled, but still feed him. He's still talented. So this Breece Hall situation is going to be interesting to really look into in week 3. How much production does he get, or how many carries does he get? How do they split it up with Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook? I actually think they did a fantastic job of running the football and splitting up week 1. And Breece still didn't get the ball that much. So if you give Breece a little more and still split that time almost like you did with Dalvin and Breece and even some MC, and I don't love that MC's out there in third downs, but I don't hate it either because he's made some decent plays. But they got to take advantage of this backfield, more so Breece Hall. So I get it. I get the frustrations. Just stay off the internet and just go play. And I know it's not really his fault that he got 4 carries. He shouldn't have. There's no excuse to give him 4 carries, especially how he performed in week 1. Listen, if he was slow and they thought they were really rushing him into things after 11 to 12 or whatever, 11 attempts that he had against Buffalo, and then you say, hey, listen, let's take a step back. We'll give you 4 to 5, and then we'll tick you up again. No, he was a monster. His first 2 carries at over 100 yards. Like, this dude looked like as electric, if not more electric than he did last season. And then not to mention, he had 1 run on the outside. He broke out. It was like 8-9 yards. He was kind of 1 or 2 guys, and he was going further, not get toward the left side of the sidelines. So with Breece Hall, you got to use him. And you know what? You got to go in the right side of the line. I talked about the offensive line. AVT and Becton, not to get this twisted, they have been good in run blocking. They have. Just not as great in pass blocking. Most notably AVT. He's kind of slacking a little bit, but we knew that he was basically or always a better run than pass blocker. I think his pass blocking abilities will get better, but run through the right side. Like, the right side is better, which is crazy because usually the team's strength is the left side. Any team's offensive lineman, usually your 2 best offensive linemen are on the left side. In this case, for the Jets, it's in the right side. So Breece Hall, feed him the damn ball. They have no excuse not to give him the ball. And if he doesn't get the ball again, or if he goes like 6 to 8 carries, he's going to be more frustrated. The last thing you do, or the last thing you need, is him to get frustrated. And I get it because he feels healthy and he probably feels like they're almost pushing him back too much. And he showed us. Like, what more could have he shown on that Monday night against Buffalo Bills that he is good? He's okay. So I really hope that this isn't a thing. I'm really hoping that week 2 was just a complete wash. And Nathaniel Hackett better wake the hell up, or he's going to have, one of, if not their best offensive player. Him or Garrett Wilson, you could, go hand in hand with, when both healthy at 100%. Talk a lot on this YouTube channel about quarterbacks, most notably now Zach Wilson. I was a little tough on Zach Wilson in my recap, and I stand by it. I really do. Did he lose the game for the Jets? No, he wasn't the reason. But, you go to week 1, he wasn't the reason they won either. It's just an ongoing circle. Like, yeah, you just need him to be a manager, but He's barely managing. The first 3 quarters, okay. But the thing is, though, like if we are just we're trying so hard to take positives, and I get it. I like to be an optimist. I like to think that I'm an optimist, but sometimes when you're a Jets fan and you're trying to be optimistic towards this team, it's absolutely exhausting. And then you regret, why the hell did I put so much energy of being optimistic when it just all goes to crap? For this situation, it's like the leash, how long or how short? Like I can't think that it should be much longer. If he continues to struggle, if he has another New England game, it's going to be hard to sell everybody on him. And let's just face the facts. If the Jets go out there and lose by 7 to 14 points against the Patriots on their home turf, Zach Wilson has 2 interceptions. The offense is, just underwhelming. There's got to be some kind of move, whether it's for a veteran or you trade, whether you sign a veteran, you trade for one. I think they're absolutely going to bring a veteran in at some point. I know Saleh said they don't intend to bring another one in yet. Dude, their backup quarterback was Randall Cobb last week. Boyle wasn't even dressing. So I'm just really dumbfounded of why they still have not signed a veteran like a Carson Wentz or a Matt Ryan or any of those type. Maybe not Matt Ryan because he's in the booth. I can't really imagine that he would come. He was terrible last year. I can't really imagine he's in football shape. But a Matt Ryan, Matt Ryan, but a Carson Wentz, as I say, he's not in shape. I say him, but a Carson Wentz or like a Colt McCoy or something like that. I think they should start signing Carson Wentz. Like, unpopular opinion, I think they should sign Carson Wentz. Not to necessarily come in and start right away. No, that's not what I'm saying. A veteran presence, at least to have a guy who could be competent behind him. Yes, he was awful last season. He was also hurt. He was benched. He didn't have a consistent role. You rewind to 2021. The only reason why the Colts got rid of him was because of that 2-game stretch. Frank Reich, word on the street, did not want to get rid of Carson Wentz. He threw 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Well over, I think, 3,500 yards, around 3,000 to 3,500, something like that. I don't know the exact number, but I do know 27 and 7 because I've been saying it. If the Jets had a quarterback that threw for 27 touchdowns, heck, not even 20 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, they're in the playoffs. Simple. So simple. The Jets haven't had a starting quarterback throw for 20 touchdowns. I don't know. I think it's the last time it was Fitzpatrick, honestly. It was 8-9 years ago. I'm tired of getting these 8, 9, 10 touchdown years with double the amount of interceptions. So bring in Carson Wentz. Bring in at least a guy like that. I'm not saying he's going to come in and win and be the MVP. No. But could he manage? Maybe. I think the Jets surrounding cast is a lot better right now this year than last year's Commanders team. This year's Commanders team looks more improved for sure, but I'm talking last year. Commanders didn't have a ton on offense. So can he come in and perform? Possibly. But I don't want him to do that right away. They just need to put some guy on the roster behind Zach Wilson. Like, I don't know what it is that he had deserved a just free ride that here's the keys. Take it and go. We don't care what you do. No, there was a reason why the Jets went out and traded for Aaron Rodgers. There was a reason why if they didn't get Rodgers, that they were still going to look for another quarterback, even though they would have been screwed. There was a reason why they brought in Derek Carr to visit before they thought Rodgers was a possibility. There's a lot of reasons. There's a reason why they benched him for Mike White and didn't even play him in Week 18. Played the corpse of Joe Flacco. There's a reason why they wanted him to sit an entire year. Probably would have been longer. For a reset. There's a reason for all of this because they don't believe in him. Because they don't think he's ready. So I'm just tired of Saleh spewing bullshit. Spewing lies that we believe in Zach. Because they don't. They already proved that they don't. So man up and sign a veteran quarterback. I don't know what's taking so long. What happens if Zach Wilson, knock on wood, gets hurt? They're going to bring in Randall Cobb on Sunday? And if he gets hurt, you guys can trash me because I'm not jinxing. No, I'm knocking on wood. But literally, like, it's not going to hurt to bring a guy in. It's not going to lose his confidence. He's still the starter. But the leash can't be long. Like, I'm sorry. I know Rex Ryan had some strong comments. He thinks the Jets can make the playoffs with Zach Wilson if they just run the shit out of the ball. And I kind of agree, but it's going to have to be perfect. This is not 2009, 2010 Rex. And I understand he said, this defense is better and you could still win running the football. And I totally understand. And I agree to an extent. I mean, your quarterback is going to have to be able to make the plays when you need him to. And I don't think Zach can do that right now. He made some strides. I mean, if he has time in the pocket, he has a good arm. Like he has talent. Like he has a talented arm. He is athletic. Like I don't know why he doesn't run more. I certainly don't want him to run more than Breece Hall, but he should run more. He really should, especially with the team that's offensive line is not so good in pass protection. Take it and run. He did that in that last drive of the second quarter. I thought that was a great drive by him. That's what he needs to do. Balls to the wall. But for the Jets, yes, they absolutely need to add a veteran quarterback. I don't know what the weight is. I think still, you bring in Wentz, you still start Zach Wilson. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't even have to be Wentz. I'm just using that as a hypothetical guy. I'm not saying he's off the street and starting over Zach Wilson. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you need a backup plan because this happened last year. Like it's deja freaking vu, everybody. It is. It is literally like we went back in time and now in what week was it? Week 9 or 10 or whatever when they were playing the Patriots after the second time. We're talking about what is happening to Zach Wilson now. Mike White's going to start now. It's just we've been through this situation, so why aren't we going to prepare for it? We saw Zach blow up last season. Do I think he's more confident? Yes. Do I think he's better? Yeah, sure. I think he's done things, I don't know. I can't even think of one thing that I blatantly think he's been better in. Footwork could be, I think the footwork is a little better. I think he's using his legs more, which he should. And I think the confidence, yes, I think it has shown a little bit, not only just on the field, but like off the field when he speaks to the media, taking accountability. I think that as well. I definitely has matured over a year. And I think that's what happens when you have a Hall of Famer in that building. And a little wake-up call, too, on his part. But, yeah, I don't know what the Jets are waiting for. I think they have to sign a veteran. No, they do not have to sign a veteran and start him right away. They just need a backup plan over this just in case it blows up. Because if it blows up, it's all over. You got no other option. So I just hope the kid does well, man. I want nothing more to Zach Wilson to come in and just have this really like super good game, like 250 yards, and not even like 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks, one throwing, something like that. Just a positive stat line so we could talk positive in a win against the Patriots. That would be fantastic, but we'll see. Finishing off the episode with Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh, it kind of ties into the Zach Wilson situation. I'm gonna start with Robert Saleh. Actually, I'm gonna start with Joe Douglas. Actually, so I'll start with Joe Douglas. If the Jets blow up this year, I think Douglas will be fired. I do, even though that is legit. Sounds blasphemy. If I had said that three months ago, even 3 weeks ago, before the season. But he's been here since 2019. And you can kind of call it a wash because they hired the dude when they literally already drafted their team. That was the most dysfunctional thing I've ever seen. 2021, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023. He's had 4 full seasons of him making his decisions, him getting his own players in free agency, him trading his own players, him getting draft picks, him drafting draft picks. 4 drafts. Historic last year, no doubt about it. You get Wilson, you got Gardner, you got Breece Hall, you got Jermaine Johnson. An absolute stacked class. But he's paid to win. These GMs get paid the big bucks to win. And if he's been here since 2019, technically 5, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt of 4 full years. and you do not sniff the postseason, I think it's hard to justify that. And you could say, yeah, it's not his fault that Rodgers got hurt. No, it's not. But he still decided, like, that was the risk he took. That's the risk he decided to take. And I know it didn't end up the way that anyone envisioned. But the matter of fact is that before they got Rodgers, it was always Douglas or Saleh need to win or these guys could be gone. I don't think it matters that Rodgers is hurt. Like, I don't think it matters. And I think he sticks around if they go, I think even if they win 7-8 games, I think maybe he stays around. Maybe like not even 7, because they went 7-10 last year. I think they need 9 wins, I think, to justify it. For me, if you have a losing record, I do not think Joe Douglas is going to be the GM next year. Do I want him to be? Yes. I think Joe Douglas has been easily the best GM or the most competent and the most adult that I've ever seen as a Jets fan. It's just, this is the league, though. This is the business that you got to win. So Joe Douglas, like, I feel like you have to treat this as all or nothing. And it ties into Robert Saleh, too. I think if Douglas is gone, Saleh's going down with him unless one GM really, really, really likes Robert Saleh. And I love Robert Saleh, to be honest with you. And again, I think he could be the guy to lead these guys. And, you know, maybe not with the situation totally right now, but I still have his back. And I still fully support Robert Saleh as the head coach. He's a player's coach. The players love him. He's intense. He's everything you want in a coach in 2023. A great story, grinded, all started with that 9/11 incident, climbed his way from the bottom to the top. Love Robert Saleh. I even love his corny little stories that a lot of people I don't think like. But I do. I think it's funny. It's entertaining. But I just can't see, you know, this is the scenario. Scenario is if things just blow up. And I'm thinking bad, and this is not me thinking this is going to happen, but it's worth talking about. It really is. This was all looked as playoff or bust for these guys going into the year. And then it turned into Super Bowl and bust when you traded for Rodgers. Now what? I think it still goes back to playoff or bust. It really does. It was playoff or bust before they traded for Rodgers. And then it became Super Bowl or bust. You lost Rodgers. I think you're back there. At least convince us. Like 9-8. If they go 9-8, I would be very impressed, especially with the schedule. But it's going to be hard to justify if things blow up here. Does Woody Johnson in ownership give him another shot? Give both of them another shot. One more go around with Rodgers next season. That could happen. But really, I feel like right now, if things blow up, I think they both get fired. I don't know what would happen with Rodgers, though. That's the thing. I think that's the factor. If Rodgers comes back fully healthy, he might be pissed off if they fire all these guys. And if Hackett's gone. So then you're kind of in this awkward, complicated situation. So I haven't really even tied that into it, and that could be interesting. Really only heard of, oh, well, you can't blame him because Rodgers got hurt. But what if they did and Rodgers was healthy next year? Like, what would Rodgers do? Would he just say, screw it, I'm retiring? That's fascinating. That's a conspiracy theory. We'll talk about that in a few weeks when it gets late in the season. Hopefully the Jets are a competent team. But I love both of these guys, and I really hope things go well. And that's when it kind of ties with the veteran quarterback, though. I don't think they have time to waste. They really saw that the Zach Wilson the first 2 years hasn't been the guy. And I don't think his leash. Do I think he should have a leash? Yes. I don't think you should automatically bring someone in and sit Zach Wilson. No, I'm not saying that. I am saying that, like, this leash can't be very long. Like, it's already been long. It's been 2 years long. So if he has a bad performance against New England, you're 1-2, and then you're going to Kansas City, or you're against Kansas City in your building. If you go 1-3, that's it, in my opinion. 1-3, you're done. I think he's toast. And Saleh and Douglas have to be aggressive, whether it's a trade or a sign or anything. Because whether you want them in or not, their jobs still technically depend on this season. because this is still a good roster. You got to find a way to manage the situation and make Zach Wilson at least become the manager and still win with him. Don't lose because of him. You don't even have to win because of him, but win with him. Just can't lose because of him, if that makes sense. Because they didn't win week 1 because of him. I don't think they lost because of him week 2. I don't think that's necessarily true. I'm just saying in general, over the last 2 years, what we've witnessed, especially last season. And of course, Zach Wilson was 5-2 with Breece Hall and all that good stuff, but he still didn't play well. So I think they have to be aggressive, and they cannot screw around. Really. They got to act fast if things go down. They got to act really fast. I think it starts this week. I think we'll know a lot of what this football team is. This is a perfect game for the Jets. 14 games that they've lost in a row against this New England team. But you could argue that they should have won both games last year. A terrible call in that roughing the passer that changed the whole game. They would have been up 17-3 at half. I think the Jets win the game if that happens. The second time, Brady Mann is incompetent and punts it with seconds left, and they return it. Just a gut-wrenching play. 10-3 they lose. One of the worst games I've ever watched in my entire life. But this will be a good game to see what do you actually have here. Because, yeah, he did this thing in Buffalo, but I think there was a lot going on. They're 1-1 now. What can they do? Go and beat New England, and that's how you at least gain, not even my trust, but just Douglas and Saleh. Douglas and Saleh are depending on Zach Wilson to do that. But that's going to wrap it up for episode 8 of the of the Jet Fuel podcast. That's episode 8. We discussed the offensive line, Breece Hall, should the Jets sign a veteran quarterback, and obviously the last topic there with Saleh and Douglas, what their future looks like. And I mentioned it earlier in the video, or in the beginning of the video, we will be releasing also the New York Jets, New England Patriots preview. I will again be on the road, so hopefully I can at least try to figure out a recap, maybe a short video or something. But look out for that on Thursday, as it's Wednesday right here. But I appreciate everyone joining. Appreciate everyone listening, rather. If you've listened all 30 minutes, God bless you. Subscribe to the channel, like the video if you actually liked it. Follow me on X and Instagram. Turn Up the Jets, all one word, on those social media platforms. Until next time, see ya.
Jets, I hear them say it now.
Jets, white, green, just green and white. Tell me, have you ever seen a team take flight? Super Bowl dreams are still in sight. All we gotta do is win tonight. White, green, just green and white.